You're listening to a new episode of the Brave Marketer podcast, and this one features John Hook. John is the CMO at Player Ember, and they're a creator monetization platform to help games, studios, brands, Web3 artists, and NFT collections monetize their product and services. Previously, he was CEO at Boombit Group, CRO at Homa Games, and the co-founder of Odyssey Mobile. John is also an active angel investor in the gaming sector, with investments covering mobile game studios, Web3 games, and platforms and gaming tech. I think you're really going to like this episode because we discussed making blockchain invisible to attract more gamers and removing the blockchain infrastructure as a barrier. That's something that comes up a lot, that users don't need to know that this game or this product is running on the blockchain. We talked about creating content specific for specific social media channels and accommodating their algorithms, advertising on Twitter versus marketing on TikTok, and then gaming in the metaverse, how the experience is changing for the players. But before we hop into today's episode, we want to highlight our Brave Pick of the Week. Every episode we choose a brand that has run an ad campaign, and this week we are choosing Capital One Shopping. They ran a push notification program designed to drive downloads of their shopping extension. The campaign was strategically timed to take advantage of the holiday shopping surge, and we utilized Brave's device-level anonymous ad matching technology. The campaign generated a click-through rate of 9% with very efficient conversions. And with no further ado, here's this week's episode of The Brave Marketer. John, welcome to the Brave Marketer podcast. How you doing today?
I'm good, Donnie. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on. For those who don't know Play Ember, can you just give us a general overview of the company?
Yeah, sure. So Play Ember, we still are and started off life as a mobile games company making mass casual games, very successful, 100 million downloads, 5 million DAU, amazing team and developers. And then about a year ago now, Hugo, co-founder and our gaming genius, and I just started scouting around Web3, trying to find sort of our home and more importantly, what we thought the problem was specifically for our players in game genre. And that's where we sort of built our MVP for our Web3 sort of infrastructure division and hit the fundraising trail, got some pretty brutal feedback, but ended up closing the round. And now our Web3 infrastructure division is a Web3 monetization platform for creators, mobile game studios, and brands.
Got it. That sounds amazing. And amazing on the 5 million DAU. How did you acquire those users?
Well, Hugo is one of the best free-to-play developers out there. He's published hit games with Voodoo, Lion Studios, Quali, Boombit, and he's just a genius. He just really understands players and particularly mass casual games that really are more about sort of pop culture. And yeah, has the ability to design just amazing, catchy mechanics that then dialed in with sort of really cool themes that might be trending on Netflix or TikTok. And then, the team alongside that are really solid when it comes to like monetizing those players. So yeah, harnessing all that knowledge in our new Web3 chapter.
What's the most exciting thing you're working on right now, John?
So I think at the moment it's bringing our vision for Web 2.5 to life. So we have three pillars. We have the Web3 infrastructure piece, the monetization layer, the SDK, the smart contracts, etc. We have the application layer, so our mobile games and just making more amazing games for our players. And then the third pillar is this mixture of sort of social community and like a creator commerce level. So really trying to bring them all together within a single mobile game is super exciting and challenging.
What makes it challenging? Like, why is it difficult?
Well, there are these folks called Apple and Google. You might have heard of them.
Never heard of them.
That have some, I'm not harsh on them. I'm super supportive of them because I think they have a really key role in this ecosystem. But I never thought Apple for 1 second as a public company worth billions of dollars are just going to say, hey guys, just go nuts. Just go crazy on all this NFT, Web3 stuff. Just knock yourselves out, right? In the face of obviously some noises the SEC are making, etc. So I think that's a challenge. And the knock-on effect of that is then you're having to be a little bit hacky about this sort of mobile Web 2 experience and then this sort of Web3 blockchain on-chain world that at the moment is a bit buggy in terms of user experience. So that's definitely a challenge, but there are workarounds. And, the more games we submit to the App Store, the more direct relationship we're getting with them now to understand exactly where the gray areas are and aren't. I think still a challenge, which is why we launched this, is players, right? Because in this little crypto Twitter bubble that I'm definitely part of, where we've got all these buzzwords and we all know what we're talking about and we think we're really clever because we can bridge change and set up all these wallets. Most of our players who just love playing games know nothing about blockchain or tokens or wallets. So I think that's definitely a challenge, but for us, a huge opportunity to really I kind of use the phrase make blockchain invisible, right? How can we basically enable them to play the same game they love playing, have an extra motivation to do so, but that's about it. They don't really know about anything else. Not that we're hiding it from them or trying to dupe them in any way. I just want to make that clear. It's just infrastructure. It's just technology. Why do they need to worry about that? Just like in mobile games, why do they need to understand like the Unity game engine to play a game?
Yep, totally. So this podcast is all about marketers coming on and explaining us their brave marketing moment, a time in their career where they took a risk and it really paid off for them. So what's your brave marketing moment?
For me, it was kind of quitting my job. So at the time was working at a very and still successful media agency running their mobile division, and a friend of mine were at Mobile World Congress, and the early days of mobile when there were just sort of Crazy Frog ringtones and mobile websites, and all of our clients were talking about mobile advertising, where do I advertise? And after a few sort of sangrias, we were like, hey, maybe we should do this, maybe we should set up a mobile ad network. How can that be? With the naivety and of youth. So literally the next day wrote a business plan at like my mum's kitchen table and quit our jobs and started pitching all the brands we knew about this amazing mobile ad network that we were building.
That's amazing.
Without that amazing journey, both just literally learning just by building and also just the privilege of doing it with still a great friend of mine who I respect greatly, would not be doing Play Ember today.
Yeah. And what was that ad network?
It's called Odyssey Mobile. It was acquired by Funware, who make enterprise mobile applications in the US for like US airports and Kaiser Permanente. So yeah, just really grateful to the team we had at the time and all the advertisers and agencies that came on that journey with us.
That's amazing. How long did you do that for?
Did that for a total about 4 years.
Great.
So kind of starting it and then the exit. But yeah, without that, just that whole experience, and there were some amazing folks at Funware that never had a board meeting, like never had to do that kind of stuff, or go pitch to VCs. So yeah, some amazing kind of mentors at Funware that had built like enterprise software companies that taught us a whole bunch about running a business and proper tech marketing and how to market infrastructure. It was a really enjoyable experience.
It's amazing. So let's talk about mental health. It's a big deal in gaming. It's a big thing in the US and the world right now, and especially everyone being under lockdown and COVID. Why do you think mental health is so important?
I mean, I think it's the most important thing. I don't think you can, function as a person without your sanity. And like you said in gaming, just, I had a friend reach out a few weeks ago that was just totally burnt out because they're just in this sort of games publishing just machine where there is just so much pressure to find that next hit. And he was just totally burnt out. And it's something I've always been very dialed into personally, and also for the teams that I've built, which is you can only be successful if you're, really motivated and right in yourself. So, people have lots of different words for mental health, whether it's mindfulness, whether it's like fitness. But yeah, for me, it's a big part of how I find that balance. You just need some time to switch off from everything you're doing, whether it's, building a company, working, family life, and I religiously stick to that and do my best just to make sure that all of my colleagues and just friendship group that mentally they're doing okay. And I honestly think Web3 is another level. Like there's gaming and there's Web3 where there's just this incessant demand every day to be online, be available on every single platform you can think of, Discord, Telegram, you name it. So I think the pressures on you mentally in Web3 are even bigger than in gaming. So yeah, mental health is extremely important to me.
Yeah. Back into the marketing area, how are you thinking about marketing via Web3 channels? How do you guys promote your company and the games from a marketing perspective, and then in the Web3 world as well?
We're maybe the contrarians. We think about it a little differently because all of our audience are in the app stores and they're very Web 2 versus Web 3. Certainly the first wave of gaming has been built on Discord with this whole sort of whitelist mint meta, and just trying to focus all your CPA marketing into Discord, with really very little metrics beyond, how many NFTs did you sell? There's not this beautiful sort of like funnel and metrics and analytics that you get in Web 2 that really we've always run our Web 2 gaming on. So for us, that's a real challenge when it comes to what we're doing. So it's business as usual in terms of game distribution for our mobile games. That hasn't really changed. There's some fluctuation in terms of like the performance of ad networks. But when it comes to this concept of community and where do we build it in Web3, we're investing heavily actually in TikTok because that's always indexed very well with our audience. So we're playing around there with the concept of actually, outside of followers, and you could argue followers are a proxy for a community, but we're actually playing around with, for our audience, trying to build this following on there as well as Twitter. And then no doubt with sort of the Web3 business side, when you start thinking about, IDOs, obviously nowhere soon given the current markets, but I don't think you can get away with doing an IDO and having investors and interest in your token without having, an active Discord community. But at the moment, it's a very Web2 focus on sort of, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter as well.
Got it. How's advertising on Twitter changed at all? Has it?
I think our focus at the moment, so again, there's this sort of classic Web2 advertising. When I think about advertising for Web3, I don't think it's changed that much. I just think it's the classic influencer model that you've always had on Instagram. When you look at a lot of these sort of like Web3 creator projects and gaming projects, there's just an army of sort of Web3 genuine influencers, like there's like the affiliate, let's call them shillers, that then form part of this like Web3 marketing machine on Twitter. I don't think Twitter's unique in that, as there's been so much competition for the space, the sort of CPAs in that classic Discord model. I mean, we don't do it, but talking to friends of mine, I think early on it was pretty low, but now those kind of CPAs are no different to the sort of cost per installs you see for mobile games. So I think really the same on any channel now, marketing, it's always kind of content is really important, and particularly short form content, given how quickly people roll through feeds. And suspect that this is the route that TikTok are going now as well, actually maybe the other way, from really short form content to actually more like minute long content that we're experimenting with. So it's definitely a challenge trying to dial into each unique platform and their algorithms and the type of content they're looking for to make sure that you're feeding the machine and getting the the engagement that you want.
Absolutely. So there have been a lot of meaningful partnerships and activations that have happened in the metaverse environment so far. What have you seen? What excites you? What intrigues you as far as those partnerships and what people are doing, what brands are doing in the metaverse?
Sure. So when I think about the metaverse, I think, for me, it's been around a long time. It's called Roblox. It's just a beautiful world where you've got a huge community just creating together. You've got a community currency. You've got loads of brands there, like live streaming concerts. It's just a world of entertainment. So for me, it's, the metaverse is not a new concept. If you look at like multiplayer games, people have been playing in their own metaverse, like connecting online in forums, playing with friends for, a long, long time. I think the Sandbox have obviously with Animoca been pioneers of that, along with Sebastian, sold an insane number of land parcels. You've got huge brands there, made millions, billions of dollars, but at the very early stages of their life cycle of what this Web3 metaverse could be. And then I think, the problem is then you have some people giving the metaverse a bad name. And at times I kind of feel it's more of a vehicle, or has been, to raise VC funds, which is like, we're doing a game, there's a metaverse, we've got a token and we want to raise loads of money. So I'm really not a fan of those kinds. But I think really with my gaming brain on, I think it's more, the concept of just sort of like multiplayer, UGC. I think where and how you play that is really down to the players, right? And the player choice, rather than defining that the metaverse is this thing that, you have to log in with your wallet and it's on a PC or a browser.
Got it. What do you think are the biggest opportunities for crypto marketers right now?
The biggest opportunities are, kind of to reinvent the wheel a little bit, because I think the narrative around crypto has not been the best of late due to a lot of mainstream news. So I think the opportunity is to really talk to your audience about really what they care about and the value that your product or service can bring to them, right? So just really the basics that marketing has always been. It's just we got a little bit distracted with maybe some of the hype, and we forgot about what's most important. And for us as a games company, the most important thing is our players. So I think it's just continuing to communicate with them what they love, which is games, and show them the additional value that blockchain technology can unlock from them playing games. And then I think the opportunity, just with any kind of new cycle that comes along, is trying to find new exciting marketing channels to better connect with your players.
And what are your strategies to increase mainstream adoption of your products?
We have a distribution model in Web 2 that works, e.g. a centralized point for players to find, discover, and download amazing games. And then a whole, ad network, CPI, LTV models to work around that. I think the exciting challenge is then really what we're doing, which is layering on that Web3 element within a mobile game. And we're starting to build out these new LTV models and the added value we can get from monetization to see how that then could unlock further growth for, the discovery and playability of our games. So I think the big opportunity for us is, of course, always very open to new partners and ways we can distribute our games. But I think for our players, what we're sort of obsessing over is just new experiences in the game that just augment the game they're already playing without just shoving more ads in there, provide something meaningful for them that by default unlock just really cool partnerships with brands and creators just for sort of experiences in games. So that's really how we're thinking.
Got it. And can you nominate another brave marketer to be on the show?
100%. I'd love to nominate another sort of Web3 crypto pioneer. I'd love to nominate Quinn Campbell, sort of VP of growth at Sky Mavis Axie Infinity.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. John, it's great having you on the show. How can your users get in touch with you?
Pretty active on Twitter at John Hook, no H, Jon Hook. You can hit me up on Telegram, MetaHook, or you can just head over to playember.com and check out what we're doing. Thanks, Donnie. Thanks for having us along. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. It was great. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Brave Marketer podcast. 4 quick things before you go. Number 1, if you like what you've heard, it'd be really awesome if you'd rate us or write us a review on your podcast player. And if you didn't like what you've heard, then don't worry about it. Number 2, if you would like to advertise to Brave's 60 million users and have a budget of $10,000 or more, simply email us at adsales@brave.com. That's ADSALES at brave.com. And let us know you're a podcast listener for a 25% discount. Number 3, musical credits go to my brother, Ari Devorin. And finally, number 4, go use Brave at brave.com. And we will see you next time on The Brave Marketer.